Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mac Yak, number 21 for April 25th, 2019. So how's everybody doing tonight?
Tired.
Is that why you're standing up? Because you're tired?
Yeah, else I'd fall asleep.
Oh, we've been having a pretty good time this week. Steve, tell us some of what you've been going through this week lately.
Boy. I was playing around with the Performa a lot, if that's what you're referring to.
No. We're talking about something else. In your attic?
Yes. My attic adventures. Nothing Mac related unless there's some boxes. Well, there are up there.
Well, you had PowerPC and you had Intel, so...
Yeah, well, okay. So I have a minor leak in my roof that I've been meaning to get fixed, and so there's a bucket up there. And so I have a camera that's pointed at that bucket because it was the winter and nobody was going to come out to fix the roof. And because that camera was up there, I sort of suspected we had some mice in the attic. And because that camera was up there, Jay was actually watching the camera out of boredom, I guess. And he saw a mouse come by. And I then had the idea I have these humane mouse traps, and I had the idea to put them up there. And then we were, going along in the chat and joking, and we decided to make it fun. And I put PowerPC and Intel, little labels next to the mouse trap, and we were trying to decide which trap the mouse would go in. So, spoiler alert: Intel won, and the mouse was caught sometime between last night and this morning. So it took a while because I didn't have the proper peanut butter, I guess. And
yeah, he calls it a humane trap, and then he puts almond butter in it. It's like, what the hell?
Hey, when the almond butter was in there, he went there like instantly, but he didn't go in the trap. He just sniffed around.
He looked at it because it was a new item in front of him. It has nothing to do with the butter.
He was sniffing it. Anyway.
Yeah, he sniffed it and said, it's almond butter. He's like, ew.
So he or she sniffed whatever it was and ran off. So we actually got him eventually, like I said earlier this morning or whenever it was. And now he's running around in the backyard, probably find his way back into the attic.
So tell our viewers how many days it took you to catch him.
Too long. That's
too long.
The answer.
I like that.
Yeah. Was it 5 days, really?
Wow. I don't think it was that many.
And he streamed it on Twitch and was actually getting viewers on Twitch.
Well, see, I have this little Raspberry Pi set up using a software called MotionEye, which is actually pretty neat, but it doesn't really record too well, at least with the settings I have set up in the crummy old webcam I have for it. So I didn't want to share my IP address to everyone to watch, and plus that would bog down the connection to the little Raspberry Pi Zero. So I just captured the window and put it on Twitch. It got a pretty good following. I don't really use Twitch at all. Like that account I just set up just for my Mac stuff. And I logged in and I'm getting all these notifications of like, hey, you broke this record of streaming. You got this, you got that. I'm like, okay. Like I'm not even doing anything.
Hey, pretty soon you'll get affiliated. Who knows?
Yeah. Mouse cam.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I tried to do what you did, but my camera wasn't up to the task.
But Jay, how long did it take you to catch your mouse?
I caught the first mouse, and I used the same traps that are actually humane and got the good peanut butter in it. And we had one mouse in the house, and I ended up catching 4 that night.
Wow.
The first one in 45 minutes. I released it, took it inside, put fresh peanut butter in. 45 minutes later, second mouse. Then the cats were toying with the mouse for a while, and we caught that one that night. And the next day, there was another dead mouse on the floor. So 4 mice total that actually know the rules. You see a trap with peanut butter, you go in it to eat it. So I don't know what your mouse's problem is. But.
Yeah, these are weird, city mice. I guess I don't know.
Well, I think Steve just has smarter mice or something. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe these are redneck mice. So
yeah,
I don't know.
The
food was right there. He had to just turn the corner and go. It was really funny because as soon as I put it up there, we were all chatting in the channel, and Jay's like, "No, don't go in the Intel one, no." But yeah.
And what's funny is that he's wanting to drink your roof water more than anything.
Oh yeah,
we caught him doing that more than anything.
Dude, that bastard was dehydrated. He was in that tub every
It was
day, all
attracted
day.
to like
Hey, the
all
attic gets
glue.
very humid, so I don't blame him.
Yeah, but I figure it was attracted to like the glue and stuff that was coming dripping out the water from the roof.
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird stuff in there.
Are you nominating the mouse for what was he smoking?
Probably not good.
What was he
drink,
drinking?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, Brock is like, you released the mouse? I would have fed my cat.
See, I actually used to own a snake, a Burmese python, and I used to breed mice for it. And then I had to start breeding rats because mice were too small for it because it got too big. So I had to breed rats.
And then you went on to dogs, right?
No, I actually had to sell it back to the pet store because I went overseas in the Army, couldn't bring it with me because it's a exotic pet. So yeah, it's an exotic pet. Unfortunately, you can't bring stuff like that.
That sucks.
Lame.
Yeah. But yeah, he got up to about 6 feet long, and it was pretty cool.
That's cool.
All right, guys.
If I see one of those in my attic, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would show you a link to the recorded footage.
Oh,
There
come
isn't
on.
any.
Yeah, apparently when you sign up for Twitch, that little checkbox to automatically save your recordings for a few days is not checked. So PSA for anyone who...
I should have told you that
sets
because
that
I
up.
knew that.
Well, I knew it, but I did check it, and I thought it was saved, but I guess not. So
Yeah.
whatever.
All right. All right. Before we move on, we got a question on Discord from DHack21. He has some questions regarding PCIe SSD adapters and if having them installed in a 4X lane will impact performance over a 16X lane. Also, would I expect better performance using an AMD video card that has a native Mac OS drivers compared to as NVIDIA that uses web drivers? So if anybody's anybody here, because I don't know anything about this stuff, so.
Basically, the max they usually run at is 4 times, so it won't really matter. You could run it in any slot you want; it's still going to come up the same speed. And with AMD versus NVIDIA, AMD is slightly more optimized for Mac, although CUDA does come in handy sometimes. You know, we're still stuck with High Sierra with NVIDIA, so go with AMD.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been using my SSDs in a four speed lane since the beginning, and I'm not one of those people that is like, oh, I need NVMe at least 3 gigabytes per second, or else my world will collapse. I'm fine with 600-700 megabytes per second read write, and 4 speed lane does it just fine.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. They're all 4. Some of them are even 1 times, and some are 4 times. And I haven't seen any faster than that. So
yeah, and my understanding is what?
Noah says not unless it's a High Point 7101A card.
Yeah, those things are pricey. For AMD, I always say, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, if your primary focus is Final Cut Pro, for example, stick with AMD.
Yep.
If your primary focus is Adobe, whether it's Photoshop or Premiere, go to NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, I mean, it's a little bit off the topic here, but there was a question. I think it was Mac Pro users talking about NVIDIA cards, and Mac Pro's not supporting them when they're going to support them. And somebody said, I needed to use Final Cut Pro. And I said, well, use an AMD card. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
they
do, because he was talking about, I need an NVIDIA card to do the graphics processing on the graphics card. I said, well, AMD does that,
AMD does it better on Final Cut
Yeah.
So Apple made that choice. They went all in with AMD.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Adobe is, of course, a multi-platform software. So the smart call is to go with NVIDIA. If you can get more out of the CUDA and all that stuff, it's the smart call to make, just not if you're a Mac user.
Yeah. Okay. let's go ahead and hit our first topic of the evening, because this is one I was actually put on here. I wanted to talk about a little bit. I saw. Go ahead.
What about me?
What about you?
Are you reading off the notes from earlier?
I'm reading off of what's still on the thing. It doesn't
Yeah, but
say
I'm
anything.
supposed to be after Steve.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he
Go ahead.
skipped us.
All right,
skipped
I
you.
skipped you. Never mind. Go ahead. Yeah.
How did you forget that?
Okay, I'm.
It
not
took him
reading
all
the
of
right
5
thing.
minutes to go off topic. He's not all there tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mouse got him.
But anyway, guys, I am now. I have a poll up. I'm going to put the link right now in the chat. I have a poll up right now on my channel. I've been getting a lot more Mac oddware, a lot more Mac oddware, and combining it into certain series and stuff isn't working out because it's just kind of flooding the, for instance, PowerPC series with a lot of stuff that really just sort of pertains to the series. And I was wondering if you guys thought, what was that? Anyway, I was just wondering if you guys thought I should maybe turn the Mac Oddware videos into a series. So I've got a poll up. It's in the chat right now. Vote on it. See if we should turn this into a series, because I got a lot more coming, and I think you guys would be interested in it. I'm just not really sure how to go with it if it becomes a series. So
I voted on it, but I changed my mind.
I voted on it as well.
yeah.
But I think you and I voted the same.
I voted yes, make it a series. Now I'm thinking, no, just toss it all into a miscellaneous whatever and make playlists. Don't really put a lot of effort into different series.
But it's still, I feel like it should become a series, because I think
Well, what you could do is you could have it a series, but it could just be like as you get these things, do it. Like it doesn't have to be like a weekly thing.
right. Well, no, that's why I plan on doing it. Might not
Yeah.
get months, but
exactly.
will be updates.
If you do turn it into a series, it should be called "This is the ginormous bin of crap that I'm sending to Jay." And just
What's the acronyms for that?
You review it, you show it off, you play with it, then you send it to me.
B.
Yeah, it'd be a long acronym.
I have to think up the acronym for that. Yeah, that's almost like what was it for Marvel? Shield was strategic homeland intervention, blah blah blah, something like that. Yeah. All right, sorry about that, Greg. Yeah, I do see it now, but I wasn't paying attention, I guess, to the script. Anyways,
why even have a script?
Yeah, let's just throw the script out. All right, guys.
That's what I've been saying. Next week we should just, wing it.
Go on for 8 hours.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's what we used to do.
Well, no, we actually did have topics starting off, so we actually kept. Yeah. It's good that
Brock just uploaded a picture to Discord. If you're not in Discord, you should be.
Yep.
And that's actually a topic that's already on our list, Brock. So we will get to that.
Okay.
Shortly.
Haven't got to that yet. Okay. First topic tonight: Hackintosh versus a genuine Mac. All right. This came up. I guess it was in one of the Facebook groups. We had a discussion. People were discussing about how much it costs to build a Hackintosh versus a real Mac, and iMac Pro, anything like that. Okay. It's been proven time and time again. Even Linus Tech Tips actually did a thing on this, and he even said that if you get the same comparable hardware that an iMac Pro has in it, and that's including a 5K display because that's what a Mac Pro has, then it's basically the same price. I mean, the price of a Mac Pro is basically the same as what you're going to pay if you build that same exact spec system on a PC. And he's actually said that again. He had a new video where he actually said that same thing.
Oh.
I didn't know they had peanut butter in them. Just disgusting.
Give me some mice.
Anyway.
Butter-shaped hair. Come on.
Yeah. But anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Because I'm on the fence about saying that, you get what you pay for. In fact, Apple products, even though like an iMac Pro, you can't upgrade or anything. But yet, if you build a Hackintosh, you can actually upgrade that. But what's guaranteed it's going to work? Because every time Mac OS comes out with an update, there's a lot of problems getting it to work.
Well, my point of view used to be Hackintosh sucks. It's a fake Mac. It sucks. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, like what he's holding right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it looks kind of dope.
Thank you.
And I made the excuse that no. Apple develops the hardware, the software, they make it play nice together, blah blah blah. The whole Kool-Aid script that Apple does. And I've seen, especially when I started moving into board repair, there is no such thing as Apple quality control. The whole "it just works" is the fact that they develop both the hardware and the software, so they are in a unique position to make it talk to each other. But that hardware is no different from hardware you pull off the shelf at a Fry's or whatever the shops are called, Best Buy. So
there
I'm
may be
starting
some
to
custom
change my
firmware,
position on
but-
this a little.
But the biggest problem with the Hackintosh is making the actual software work. I mean, there
That's
is
the reason
I
why I haven't made a video on this yet, because I can't get it to run.
so it won't run Mac OS, huh?
Not yet. It's supposed to. It's been tested hardware. People have actually ran it on this hardware, but for the life of me, I can't get it to run on this hardware.
And that's the
challenge.
problem. That's where I'm talking about. And then if you do get it to work, and Apple comes out with an update, guess what? It's probably broke again.
Or you don't even update the thing. My example here is I set up one maybe a year and a half ago. I had an older PC that was like an i5. And I'm like, all right, let me try and run OS 10 on. I've done it before. I did it when Tiger first came out. There was leaked 10.44, I think it was. I got that running on a eMachine Celeron processor, and that worked pretty well actually. So I'm not a newbie when it comes to this stuff. So I, said, all right, let me try this again. It's been a while, and it was much easier to set up. But, once I got it going, which took forever, one day I just shut the machine down as I always did. Next day I booted it up. Nothing would boot at all. It was just a black screen. All the BIOS settings were correct. It's a headache. Now, if you're into that and you can get it to work, and you have some spare parts lying around or whatever, go ahead, have fun with it. But to say that it's cheaper than buying an iMac or whatever, you have to have the exact same specs, I think, to play it on an even playing field there. Because, you could say, oh, well, I already have a monitor. Well, that's not a 5K monitor, probably, So, I mean, if you're doing a direct comparison, I think it's unfair because...
and that's what
Apple's,
I told this guy on the group. I said you're comparing apples to oranges there because
exactly
because if you don't include the cost of the monitor, because like for instance an iMac has the display built in, if you do not include the cost of the monitor, then it's not being a fair cost comparison.
Yeah. Of course, you could build a machine that runs OS 10 a lot cheaper than you could buy a Mac. I'm not debating that; that's proven. But to be the exact specs of a Mac, to be apples to apples comparison, no, Apple pays a lot less for those parts that go into their machine than you're going to pay off the shelf.
Yeah. And also, are we talking home use, or because if you're using it for your gaming or whatever, you can afford some downtime.
Yeah,
but if you use a Mac Pro for work,
I never did.
And it simply can't keep up anymore. And the 2019 Mac Pro is the size of a toaster, and they effed it up again. You don't have a choice. You either go iMac and have cables everywhere coming out the back of it for expansion and all that, or you go Hackintosh.
Yeah.
Now, if you earn a living with what you do on your Mac Pro, or any other Mac for that matter, and you install a software update and the whole thing is bricked, you're screwed.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So in that regard, it's a lot more expensive because, like Noah is saying, Hackintosh is better for user upgrading. Mac, you get what you pay for. Service support, it just works and all that stuff. For me, support is not a big deal. I never use it.
Same here. I never buy it.
I get more useful help on the Facebook groups that we all share than I do in the Apple support forums or their phone support.
Well,
Yeah,
because their phone
You know?
support are just not but zombies. I hate to say that, but that's
Yeah.
they
And
have a
if you,
script in front of them, and they can't deviate from that script.
Yeah, and if you keep your eye on iPad Rehab and Louis Rossmann, you know that the forum is one giant cluster of misinformation and corruption. So yeah,
I
I
agree
stopped
with
buying
you.
AppleCare years ago. I used to, like a religion. I buy a product, I buy AppleCare. Not anymore. It just doesn't have the value to me it once had. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think that if you're an enthusiast and you want to put the time in there, you don't care if your data gets erased. First off, it's stupid if you put your data on there like photos and stuff and you don't back it up. That's just dumb. But if you're okay with at a blink of an eye the whole thing going up in smoke and you not being able to boot in your system, yeah, go ahead and have fun with it. Play games on it or whatever. But don't rely on it. It's not an actual Mac. A small update can just bring it to its knees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like us, where we like to tinker around with stuff, I mean, that's fine to do a Hackintosh or something like that, make
Oh,
it
yeah,
a better
yeah.
machine. In fact, I saw a video today in one of the groups they
But-
posted where the guy hold on, he basically took a Mac Pro and made it a better gaming machine than a regular PC.
Yeah.
Go.
But
He's about to lift something
we
or
might
he has a
like to
hernia.
actually tinker around with things. But the reason why I usually use a Mac over a Hackintosh is because it just boots up. And even the unsupported ones are easy to make boot up.
Okay, it goes back to what Brock says. It just, or Noah said, it just works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
less and
even
less
though
often the case.
yeah, we rag on Apple all the time for it just works. There are problems, of course, with Apple software and hardware when it's genuine, but
Well, I think ever since Steve Jobs passed away, I think it's gone downhill as far as the it just works thing.
I think that when you go Hackintosh, you're just opening up a whole other wormhole of problems.
Yep.
So if you want to do that, go ahead. Just no,
And
it's
the
not all.
support
It's not
also
all.
freaks me out because if you need help with Mac, like I said, all of us and probably everybody watching is in the same Facebook groups that we are. We get support day and night, anytime. If we have a question, we can go there. We get support.
Yeah.
Where do you go for Hackintosh? There's this 68KMLA something forum, and people say it's a nightmare. People are assholes. You get banned for no reason. Dude, if that's the kind of support I get going
Tony
Hackintosh,
Mac,
then
too.
yeah. So, I don't know. Do I downgrade my Mac Pro if 10.15 is even worse than Mojave? Or do I start thinking about Hackintosh with horrible support?
Well,
I don't know.
honestly,
I don't know.
just my personal opinion, when I set up a Hackintosh again, I'm going to install the OS. I'm not going to do any updates. If I'm using the machine for a specific purpose, I'll probably just keep it that way because I don't want to screw it up. But that's
Right.
not ideal, of course.
You might
No.
have to build two and then rotate them with updates. Like you do
or
an
have
update. It didn't
a
get
second hard
bricked.
drive.
This is my machine now.
Well, that's what people do. They have like dual SSDs in there. One has the OS, and they're like 64 gig SSDs. They're cheapo ones.
Yeah.
And they'll just have two because if one gets borked up, they'll just boot to the other.
Is it always the OS that messes things up, or is it
It could
actual
be
hardware that messes up?
It could be a lot of things. It's usually something with the OS that it calls home to Apple, tries to do an update and screws up, or something with the BIOS doesn't look for the right thing, and all of a sudden the bootloader can corrupt something. So,
Well,
Right.
I'm kind of wondering if that's why a lot of people like to hide their serial numbers too, because I think they use that a lot to make Hackintoshes that
I thought
to
that wasn't
trick
an
it.
issue anymore. People
I
used to
didn't
do
think
that to activate iMessage, but they say that's a non-issue these days.
Yeah. Well, that's
Wow.
another issue
Didn't
too.
even think of
Is
that.
Hackintoshes can't you really use iMessage yet? So
Did not even think of that. Wow.
you can't use iMessage. You probably can't use group FaceTime even. I mean, stuff like that. It's baked into the operating system and and it's actually linked to the hardware itself. If you think about it.
I think that's what I'd be ultimately most worried about. Right now, my Mac is my primary machine. I don't care if my phone breaks or my laptop breaks. Everything I do happens on this Mac. and the rest is just an add-on. But if I go Hackintosh, that would completely reverse it. Like, my phone would be my primary for FaceTime, for messages, for, just in case the Hackintosh goes down, my phone would have to be the ultimate backup. And that's,
Well,
not
you
what the
should see
phone
my
does.
wife. Her phone is her, basically, it's her
Yeah.
main.
Well, Greg, too, I think.
I mean, she does everything on her phone. I'm sitting there half the time like, you've got a MacBook Pro. Why don't you just use it? And
Does she
Type
text you
away,
when
you'll
you're
be
on the other
done.
side of the couch?
huh? No.
That-
She doesn't do that. So, all right, guys. Any questions else on this subject before we head to our next one? I take the silence as a no.
Well, not from
Well,
us,
there's a
but
delay.
maybe there's a 20-second delay, so we got.
Oh, I know.
Gotta
Well,
play
I
the
don't think
Jeopardy
they're.
music again.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't see too many questions coming up while we were talking about it either. But
Because we are so interesting, people just laser focus,
Ah,
yeah, I know. All right. So our next topic tonight is Apple displays. Would you buy an Apple branded display? Why or why not?
Never.
I would. Older
I
one,
would,
but
I'll come back to that. I'll be
yeah,
right.
What are you doing?
but
Are you cleaning the
here's
house or something?
yeah, I
No,
know.
I'm making pizza.
What the?
Send me a slice.
I would, to make it look good as far as with the other stuff that I have Apple, because I mean I hate to say it, but Apple does make some pretty stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they make it look really good. But you get these generic monitors like what I have back here. I got 2 Dell monitors for my Mac Pro. I mean they're ugly but they work. I mean,
All inside is the same panel technology,
True.
pretty much.
but they would have to be at a price that would be on par with some of the other stuff out there, other displays.
Yeah.
If they're like ridiculously priced, like $2,000 for a 5K display, I'll be like, I'll just buy another iMac, and I can use it as a display because guess what? It'll be cheaper,
Yeah,
and then I have
think
another computer.
that's probably one of the reasons they got out of the market is they weren't making enough off the displays.
Well, to be honest with you, I think they were just way too expensive. But if the Thunderbolt ones would be nice, getting a Thunderbolt display. But there is a lot of third-party Thunderbolt displays out there nowadays.
Yeah, and now with USB-C, you could even have that instead of Thunderbolt if needed. At my office, we have a lot of displays that are just plugged into a USB-C dock, and
Well, I mean, the
all their
Thunderbolt
laptops
3
pretty much set up.
is the USB-C
Well, yeah, that's
plug,
what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah.
It seems like everything's sort of going to this, and you could have, sort of a display with built-in ports and a webcam and stuff, even PC stuff, that's, not Apple branded, that may just, quote-unquote, work on a Mac, depending on the drivers and such. But
well, funny we mentioned that because actually on my 2017, it's actually broadcasting this tonight. I'm using my 2009 as a external display, and that's what's showing.
Okay.
That's what I'm capturing as the external display, and using my other Mac to do all the control work and everything. So I have a USB-C to mini display port adapter coming out of my Mac, or my iMac 2017, going over to my 2009. So it works out.
I personally wouldn't buy an Apple display just because, for me, if there's no value in getting it, especially since I don't have a modern MacBook that's one cable to the display or whatever, I'm happy with I have a Samsung flat screen display. Samsung display. I'm looking at this LG one that says Flattron, and so I was reading that. But yeah, I have an LG one. I have a Samsung one. I don't care if they get it beat up a little bit. They don't look, fantastic body-wise. But, I mean, the display is fine. That's all I really care about. But that's just me. So,
well, one of the reasons why we came up with this subject is Apple recently pulled their partner LG 4K displays from their stores. I'll go ahead and post a link in there if I can get it. But they pulled those, so that's why we're wondering: is Apple actually going to come out with a new display?
6K, I believe, right?
Maybe, who knows?
yeah,
That's what I saw in the rumors. I don't know if they probably will. because, ever since Steve went away, they cannot control themselves and stick to a neat lineup. They have to have 20 of everything.
Yep.
The only Apple display I've ever owned was the one that came with my blue and white G3.
Yeah.
It was a 17-inch CRT, and it was amazing. It looked good. It functioned well. And for me,
Beautiful
it was good
Sony
enough.
Trinitron.
Yeah.
But ever since, it's... I'm not impressed. My $40... I buy new displays every 3 years because they fade and they break just by using them because they're cheap.
Mm-hmm.
$40. I got two 27-inch displays, 23-inch displays, or 24, whatever. Doesn't matter. And they work fine. I don't do any, complex stuff. Now, my wife walks up to my desk. She is disgusted by the screens that I use because the color accuracy sucks.
Oh,
The viewing angle is bad. The contrast is horrible.
But she's a graphics designer, so hey.
Exactly.
yeah.
So
If you're into graphics or video and you need a display that's a good one, you're going to pay the big bucks for
But
a
you
nice
wouldn't get
LG
Apple
or whatever.
because
Yeah.
every graphics person I've ever spoken to says that Apple displays are not the best when it comes to color accuracy.
They have
all that.
weird dithering and stuff that's built into them, and
So even for the pro market, they're not. You can't justify the price tag. You really buy them because it's pretty.
Yeah,
I think the last good ones they made were the like the 30-inch one, and then the matte screen ones.
Well, it's funny because even the used there's a guy in town here selling a Thunderbolt 24.
Seven?
No, it might be a 27. Yeah, 27-inch Thunderbolt display, and he's wanting 300. I think it's $350 for it. And I'm like, no, not for a used one. I mean, I'm not gonna. But that's the problem is that Apple holds its value and people actually will get that much for it,
Hey, if someone's going to give me one, I'll take it.
I got displays. At the moment I got 6 Apple Cinema displays. I got the clear plastic ones. I got the aluminum ones, and I would love to use them. I would love to put a Visa mount on them and replace my screens, but they're just not better than these crappy screens that I already use. So they're just sitting there until I find a use for it. And
you have a proprietary power adapter you got to worry about.
Yep,
I got those.
especially on those plastic ones. What about the aluminum ones? Do they have a proprietary?
Of course they do. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
See, and that's dumb too. They should have a regular power
adapter.
Cord.
Yeah, the power adapter for the 30-inch model usually outprices the monitor itself.
And they're probably ones that, but
Noah seems to be impressed with the Apple displays, though.
Well, he says
they're beautiful, wide gamuts. The LG ultrafine 4K and 5K displays are not more expensive than the competition. I've never checked. I've never had any K display. This is just 1080p. That's it. What is that? 2K? Or
that's not even. Almost.
1.5K is that's my world. My TV is not 4K either. I don't want to see everybody's pores on their face when I watch TV. I just keep it simple, 1080p.
Well, my 2017 is a 5K display, but to be honest with you, when I'm playing iRacing, I use it in 1080p because
of course, better performance.
Better performance for one, because pushing 5K pixels, is crazy.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just basically destroying my graphics card by doing that. So 1080p, because most streaming services, that's what they go up to is 1080p. They don't do anything beyond that. YouTube does 4K, but you better have some high bandwidth to be able to push 4K video out.
Yeah, I think that it's nicer to have a display higher than 1080p because you could of course fit your windows around, especially your video editing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to Apple creating their own displays. I just think that with the market out there, especially when they partnered with LG, it sort of looked to me like they were saying, all right, you know what? LG did all the research and development on this. We're going to partner with them and give them some notes, and then we'll sell it in our stores, and that'll be our solution for our pro customers.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that again. They maybe just pulled it from the store if they're releasing a new one, but
I'm not so sure. I think they're pulling everything. I think they're pulling everything that's not Apple branded
Well,
because
there still was an LG one on sale in their store. It just wasn't this one that
Yeah,
they
it was
partnered
well,
with
5,
them.
I think.
and the reason why I say that because the wife and I were at the Apple store this past weekend to look for iPhone or for cases for her iPhone. Okay, and this is another story altogether. But anyway, so we go up there, and all they have is the Apple branded ones. They don't carry any of the other ones anymore. They used to carry a whole wall full of, third party cases and stuff. Not anymore. All they have is the Apple branded ones.
Yeah, I
Okay,
could see them doing that.
and then they don't even have stuff for the iPhone 8 Plus, even though they still sell that one out on the
Of course
wall.
not.
you know.
Well, they need
So,
the space for the 7 different kinds of MacBook Air and the 20 different kinds of iMac they sell.
well, yeah, because the table space is just getting
Dude, the
crowded.
watch bands alone. is,
Oh, I know. The
Holy
watch bands
crap.
have 2 tables full of watch bands now. I mean, because they got the little glass, tables that you can look at all the
That's
watch
certainly
bands.
worth the 50 grand a month in rent they pay in those stores, isn't it?
Yeah.
But going back to the 5K, 12K, whatever K, there was I think I saw it on Facebook. It's been a few months, but someone did a test that if you run, I think they did it with a MacBook Pro. If you run the MacBook Pro at the highest resolution it can do, so everything looks amazing. You need binoculars to see it, but it looks amazing. Performance actually takes a hit.
Well, yeah, because you're pushing all those
Yeah.
pixels. That's
So
the
the
problem.
same goes for an iMac or anything with a whatever K screen. If you want to make full use of that gorgeous display that you just paid $4,000 for, you're going to take a performance hit. So you have to downscale it. So first of all, if you don't have 20/20 vision, you can't go full resolution because you can't see it. And performance takes a hit. So why pay $2,000 for a 5K display if all it's good for is your screensaver or your movie that you
Yeah,
Well,
watch?
I think
and even a movie, you're not going to see it any higher. Mostly, especially if you're watching Blu-ray at 1080p, you're not seeing any unless you get a 4K disc. You're still not using the whole 5K display. I mean, it's
Right.
still
yeah,
going to be downscaled.
I think what those displays are really nice for, and you could probably agree on this, is if you're editing 4K content, you could have your window displaying that content in true 4K with all your palettes and everything all around it.
Right.
That's where I could see the value in it. Now I don't have
I
4K,
mean, don't
a
get me
5K
wrong.
display,
My
but
wife has a 5K iMac, and it's a dude. Even UT 2004 looks amazing on a 5K iMac.
of
Seriously.
course,
Well, guys,
And
here's mine, and this is what I'm doing right now. I have all these different things open on my 5K display. Okay, so
yeah.
I mean, this is basically, I can see everything perfectly fine because of the resolution of it. I mean, the details and stuff are really really nice. So, I mean, that's one plus is that I can have multiple windows open on a anything less. I can't see it. I mean, I don't have the vision anymore to see that stuff.
right,
Right.
so it's pretty. It looks amazing, but is it worth? Has it historically been worth the price tag? Before we got Retina screens, I would say absolutely not. Now, I guess it's a matter of preference, but
Well, I mean, the Retina screen, and that's what this is a Retina screen, which you could tell the difference between this screen and the 2009 screen. In fact, if you want to look real quick, this is the 2017 screen, but then you look at the 2019 screen, and you could see, yeah, now it's like,
Sweet infinity shot.
yeah, infinity.
Fine.
But that's the difference between the two right now. Okay, so I mean, you could tell the difference over here. Definitely, you could see. I can see the pixels a little bit over here. Here, I can't even see a pixel one unless
so
I take a
now
magnifying glass to it.
Brock is bringing up an interesting point. He said to watch 4K or 5K on a Mac, you have to use Chrome. Safari doesn't support 4 or 5K on YouTube, but YouTube compresses the hell out of your stuff anyway.
Exactly.
Oh
So
yeah.
why even bother watching it in
Right.
4K?
Now
Right.
I'll tell you, it really depends on the device. So I just started publishing my YouTube videos when possible in 4K, and they look okay. It's just shot on my phone, so it's not fancy camera or anything. I have a 4K TV, and it has some streaming apps on it. When it streams in 4K, it looks pretty decent. It looks pretty good. Now, if I plug in my MacBook up to the TV and have the source file in 4K without all the compression, it looks much better. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Jay, I think you're onto something there with,
Yeah.
you may have a beautiful display, but some people don't take into the account, especially Netflix and stuff. They still compress a lot of their things.
Yes.
Maybe
Oh, yeah.
4K, but you'll
Plex
see a
outputs
lot of
higher quality than any of these services.
Yeah,
Because it's
exactly,
local, of course. But I had that when years ago when I still had cable. Comcast, I must have been tired or drunk or I don't know, but at some point they convinced me to switch my TV to TV HD. I'm like, okay,
Oh
cool,
no,
let's do it.
Nice 1080i, huh?
The extra $10 a month, and I was looking at the TV and I was appalled. I called them 2 days later. Said, dude, I tried to watch my Formula One. I tried to watch a movie. The compression is horrible. Is my box broken or is it, no? That's how we push it out. So then immediately downgrade me to what I had last week, and actually a month later I cut the cable completely.
You do a side-by-side comparison of over-the-air TV versus cable, the same channel, same signal. Over-the-air has less compression.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Well, that's because, and here's one of the biggest reasons why is because over-the-air has more bandwidth right now available because they just discontinued all the analog signals. So now they have all that bandwidth that they used to broadcast analog TV on is now digital TV.
Yeah, plus now, cable, they're trying to shove all these signals into one wire.
Well, not only cable TV, but there also you got internet and all other, and they also have, like, for instance, Cox Internet here has their own streaming service. Okay, they call it Contour, Cox Contour, and so I can basically watch pay-per-view movies. Yeah, that's a funny joke. Dude. Yeah, Jay's mind's in the gutter.
Always.
Anyways, but they have all that stuff, and then they're pushing out their own stuff. So you've got all those different signals trying to go through that little cable, which probably shouldn't be pushing that much data through. Plus, you got all the upstream stuff for people on the internet, so it's degrading the signal as well. So, to be honest with you, I don't think cable was even supposed to be used that much bandwidth on. You know what I'm saying? And now that you're pushing all these HD channels over cable TV, that's even more bandwidth. And it's just...
In the meantime, they keep telling you that if you want more than 5 megabit upload speed, you got to pay $300 a month because of bandwidth issues.
Exactly, yeah.
So I probably won't buy an Apple display if they come out with one. What about
I won't either, but I would like to have one. But, I mean, to be honest with you, I think they're going to be way too expensive for the little amount that they're going to add value to,
Basically, what I do is just wait for it to come out on the used market, because there's a history with the display itself actually running for many, many years past what they're expected to is a reason to buy one. Like my cinema display, 23-inch behind me, it's got a date code of 2005 on the bottom of it. Still runs flawlessly,
Yep.
Just have to wait for a used one.
And now we got people talking about their internet services, how much they're paying and stuff.
That could be a topic for next week.
Yeah, we might have to do that as a topic.
Yeah, TV and internet might be a topic.
Do you think anyone will have anything positive to say?
No.
Probably not. All right, guys, let's move on to our next topic here. Back to OS 6 and 7. Let me see. System 7.61 was released 22 years ago. System 6 was released 31 years ago. What do you miss about the old Mac OS, and what don't you miss?
Absolutely nothing. That was way before my time.
Yeah, I was way before my time, too.
You keep your mouth quiet, sir.
My Mac career started at 10.6. Snow Leopard. Geez. Yep.
What about you, Greg?
Well, I probably used 2 or something when I was a kid on my Mac Plus. But other than that, the oldest thing I've used is 8.6. So.
Oh, jeez. Well, I have here. I'm the only one to defend it.
No. I have actually used I think it's 7.5.3. I can't remember which one it was. I had an old SC30 that I traded for a G5. So
well, I'd be using 7.5.5 on my Hackintosh Plus with my SCSI drive, but the SCSI drive came to me blank, and I don't have any discs for it.
Send the drive my way. I'll format it for you.
I might do.
So
So I mean, 7.6.1 was the last classic version of the Mac OS before, of course, Mac OS 8 and 8.1. So I mean, for me, it's a nostalgic thing when I have a system that is running an old Mac OS like that. But I think it was important for Apple at the time because they were struggling to find like their next Mac OS, and that eventually led to OS 10 and Next and all that stuff. But 7.5 was very buggy. 7.5.3 and 7.5.5 were updates to try and fix that. And I think 7.6.1 was really like the sweet spot for PowerPC machines early on. Getting to be more stable on the Mac OS before 8 and 8.1.
well, didn't they come out with 8 because of the clones, and that was their way of stopping?
Yeah, because 8 was originally going to be 7.7, and because of the clone licensing agreement, Steve Jobs pulled a switcheroo there and renamed it to Mac OS 8 because all their licensing agreements said System 7. So
I want to interject something here, or interrupt you for a second. Why were clones different than a Hackintosh would be today? Because Apple supported drivers for all the hardware?
Because the clones had a Mac OS ROM on the motherboard.
Yeah, they had licensed.
Yes, they were officially licensed. You could not run the Mac OS without that ROM. Today you don't have those ROMs, but yeah. So I mean, the things I miss about System 7.6 was like the control strip. That's kind of the precursor to the dock, but it was just settings, so it was pretty neat. You could have your volume in there, your resolution controls.
Ooh, I can talk about control strip. I love that in OS 9.
Yeah, there you go. It's it's part of the classic Mac OS, and it's kind of what you have in your menu bar up today by where the clock is and your Wi-Fi and all that stuff. I liked, what else did I like about System 7? And it just was overall more stable than the previous versions. I don't know. System 6 was also a huge leap because before then, that was, I think it was a bit of a bit of a craziness there because you had like System 5 and then you had like Finder version, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, so System 6 was like the first one to just like organize everything and really set the ground for the first generation of non-compact Macintoshes.
Yeah. Now, I got a quick question for you, Steve, because you might know, you probably should know the answer to this.
You better know.
On a clone, could you run higher than 7? Could you run 8?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Legally, Apple said no, but there's nothing preventing you from doing so.
And some of them did end up getting licenses for 8.
Yeah. So my next video, now that the Performa one is out, we'll cover this all. But yeah, so the Mac OS 8 was only licensed on 2 clone manufacturers, Power Computing and Umax. And those came out very late in the game, so a lot of people didn't even get the original restore discs, official OS 8 restore discs for their system. But yeah, you could. I'm running 9.2 on my Power Computing clone. You just have to be careful on how you install it, because when the install disk tries to install the OS, sometimes it'll look at the CPU or look at the computer and say, "I don't know what this is. You can't install that on this," and it throws an error. But sometimes you just have to install on an actual Mac than just the hard drive.
You can even run Windows 10 on them, just like
why do you have to go there?
I mean, Mac OS 10.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You could run OS 10 on...
I was going to say, I don't think you could run Windows 10 on a Mac clone.
Hey, you might be able to.
I have...
Tell Crazy Ken he might try to do a video on that.
I have a PC compatibility card, but at 166 megahertz, I don't think it's going to be running Windows 10.
Now, yes, a question for you, Steve, since you are the designated expert in all this old stuff. I forgot what it's called. It wasn't called the chooser, but at the very top right of the screen, it showed you which application was running. It took me years to figure out that you could drag that down and get kind of like a vertical dock. Yeah. Did they introduce that in 8, 9, or before that?
I want to say that was 8 or 8.6. It was one of those pre-9 systems. It might have even been the first version of 9. I'm not 100% sure, but I
Dude, it took
remember.
me years. There was no Google,
Yeah,
it took me
I
years to figure that out
remember.
by
I
accident.
remember my dad dragged it out because he was a graphic artist, and so he had to switch between Quark and Photoshop and everything.
Yeah.
So he dragged that out, and it was always on the desktop. And the first time I saw that, I'm like, "What is this? This is great!" You know.
Sorcery.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the classic Mac OS had all these plugins and nifty things that would enhance like the way you navigate Windows and close them,
Yeah.
like Windows Shade. And Apple bought up all these companies and incorporated them into like System 7.6 and System 8 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it sort of became more of a
Hey, Mike's on
coordinated thing. But yeah, just in time, Mike, help.
Well, the
Okay.
the best way. I loved OS 9, and I started at 8.5. So before that, I don't know anything, but I
Yeah.
actually enjoy using it more today with the help of Macintosh Garden. There's so much to discover when it comes to modifications and plugins and all this stuff. It's
Hey, hold on
actually
one
more
Oh
second,
fun to
yeah.
use it
Mike.
today.
Mike,
You're getting
you're
feedback.
yeah. Turn your audio off on your outside of your mic or your Mac because we're hearing everything.
We're hearing an echo.
Yeah.
I hear a cat. I hear a wife.
Nothing's
Not a
turned
cat.
on.
I hear a Mac.
Well,
What?
I hear an echo.
Well,
It's weird.
No, we're good.
Yeah.
whatever. So we're talking about System 7.6.1 because it was released 22 years ago, and System 6 was released 31 years ago this month. So you have any comments on these classic systems?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
These guys here are two.
Well, let's see here. System 6.0.8 was one of the best operating systems ever devised for the older black and white Macs. That thing was so stable and so reliable that hell, I knew people here were using that up until the mid '90s. And then 7.6.1, 7.6 in general was probably that was the dawn of the internet on the Mac. I
Yeah.
mean, open transport and web browsers and everything else just opened up so many opportunities there. That was an absolutely awesome system up until I'd probably say 8.5 or 8.6. You know, they finally got all the OS 8 bugs worked out. By then, and same thing with this. 7.6. They finally got all the System 7 bugs worked out, which really
Yeah.
there weren't all that many, but it was
Yeah. I
it
think it
was
was.
definitely one of the biggest. I think it was one of the biggest upgrades since 6.0 or System 6. I would have to say.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
7 to 7.1 introduced some good stuff, and 7.5 was had a bunch of a mess. But I think 7.6 was basically what 7.5 was supposed to be, and it fixed a
yeah,
lot of the PowerPC microkernel issues and all that stuff.
yeah. See, that was another thing that was going on a lot during those times is all that transitioning. See,
Oh yeah,
PC people never had this problem where they have to transition from one platform to another. See, now Apple people have done it 3 times now. We've gone from the Motorola 68K to the IBM Power PC. Now we're going to Intel's, and
And
now
soon to be
and
going to
and then now
uh,
everyone's talking about
ARM.
maybe going to ARM or MIPS or which is actually just a variation on the RISC architecture, similar to what the IBM Power PC chips
Yeah.
used.
yeah, and
So,
then the other
which
transition was from 9 to 10.
yeah, yeah, that was a huge transition too. But
We survived
yeah,
them all.
yeah, and luckily, we were lucky, and that was one of the things with System 7.6 is Apple did a lot of updates, especially and a lot of the updates people don't realize, but a lot of the code that was optimized was actually for 68K compatibility on PowerPC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. To
On
make that
top of
smooth transition.
because 7. Correct me if I'm wrong, 7.1 or 7.5.3. I think 7.5.3 or 7.5.1 was the first Power Mac system.
I was just reading it earlier. It looks like yeah. So 7.1.2.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
7.1.2 was the first version of
And that
PowerPC.
was, and really, if that was just thrown together.
Yeah,
because it was
definitely.
just it was an extension. It was just an extension of System 7, the original System 7,
Yeah.
which was actually made for System 7 was actually made for the Macintosh 2
Yep.
because System 7 was the first system to actually implement color
Yeah.
in a broader form than what System 6 and System 5 had. So yeah, System 7 1 2, which is what the Power Max uses, was literally just thrown together. It was a disaster. And then they came out with 7. I think they came out with another update, 713 or 712R2 or some
So,
weird crap.
so what features of the classic Mac OS do you miss, Mike, when compared to the
I
current
miss
Mac
Windows.
OS?
I miss Windows shades.
Yes, yes,
God damn it!
yes.
I miss my damn Windows shades.
So
I
for
don't
those
know
of you,
why. I don't know
so for
why.
those of you who don't know what Windows Shade is, you double click on the window bar, and it shrinks everything just to that bar. And so you can move that bar around, you can
Dude,
minimize it
I
and
had
whatever.
hundreds on my screen at any given time. It was amazing. I
Yeah.
love it.
I do that on Mac OS 10, 11, and hell, the crap goes full screen. And I'm freaking out because I have no idea how to get it back to normal. I keep doing. I keep doing that crap even after all these years. But yeah, I miss Windows shades and my Eeps. Eep.
With the wild eep.
I miss full screen. I don't know if that was back then an issue, but now if I go full screen, I want the window to go use all the available space, but leave my menu bar, leave the buttons. You know, I don't want it to
Oh,
take over
yeah.
the entire screen. Just maximize it. That's all I want.
Yeah, well, that was a big thing back in the day because when you only had 640 by 480 monitors, or hell, even 640 by 400 monitors,
Yeah.
you wanted to try to get as much crap on the screen as you could, especially if you're doing word processing or desktop publishing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
now we
yeah,
got
time
monitors.
flies.
Oh, I know. I still miss the classic operating. I was messing with my PowerBook the other day, and I was like, God damn, I still miss this.
But
You
why
know,
do you? That's my follow-up question because it's all I got. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Why miss it? Why do you miss it? Why not
Yeah.
use it?
Yeah.
No one is forcing you to use OS 10. No one is forcing you to use OS 9. Why not use whatever you love?
because I can't run OS 9 on my Mac Pro.
You have plenty of Macs that can run it.
Oh, I have it on my iMac, on my Lime G3 iMac. I have OS. Actually, I don't even have OS 10 on that. I have 9.2.2 on there.
Right.
Beautiful.
I don't
But,
use it a lot because it's basically just nostalgia.
but
It's
does it
it's
really
use.
all boil down to the freaking internet? Like,
Yeah.
does the internet rule our lives to the point where we
Pretty
cannot go back
much.
to OS 9 because of YouTube or Facebook
Pretty
or all that?
much.
Well,
It's
I
the
think
I
it's
same.
the
think I think for
convenience.
me it's more inner compatibility. Uh, until the point where I get OS 9 and OS 8 working on my network to work with my OS 10 machines, and I know it's possible because I'm sure Steve's done it.
I'll
Um,
help you out.
yeah, that's my main issue with the OS 9 thing. I mean, I have no problems running OS 9 on a fairly regular basis. I mean, I ran OS 9 up until 2009 and never had issues. But when the internet took over, it kind of made it pretty obsolete.
But
And
they're good for gaming, at least for some old classic games and stuff. Because I
well, and
like,
that's why I keep it because I still have a lot of OS 9 and older games that I do like to play on occasion when I actually take the time to sit my butt in front of my computer in my kitchen and roast to death because the server's sitting out there, and you know, but you know, and I can still play some of those on my G5 with classic mode, but I find that the especially games like Doom, I seem to have a lot of issues with color and resolution and sound and stuff running classic mode. So
Yeah,
therefore,
sometimes it's just easier to just use actual hardware from
yeah.
that period.
yeah,
It's I did it for a week with the PowerPC challenge or the OS 9 challenge.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't do the
Steve,
Power
stop
PC.
giggling. Uh, actually, I did the PowerPC
but
and
he was
OS
still
9
using a
challenge
power
together.
piece. He was still using a power PC
Yeah,
though.
so 2 for 1.
What were you?
And
What were you using? A G4, right?
iMac G4 17
Okay,
inch. Yep, my MDD is currently in the basement. It just took up too much space,
he blew it up.
but a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's
overclocked
neither
it.
here nor there. What I'm saying is that I loved it. I did everything. Dreamweaver, Photoshop, email, including iCloud and all that. Internet browsing was not horrible. I did almost everything that I do except for FileMaker, which my entire database is built on FileMaker 16 and it's not backwards compatible and stuff like that. If my Mac Pro were to die today and I had no other option, I could actually do 80% of everything I do on OS 9. But still, I'm not saying, I'm die hard, I'm going to make the switch, because I got a Mac Pro that would go to waste that could do a lot more.
Yeah, a
Which
lot more
sadly
efficient,
goes back to YouTube and Facebook and all that. But
yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, we couldn't do this broadcast right now if you were on your
Well,
Exactly.
hold on. Let me get my black and white quick cam. And we'll,
But if you really get down into it, if you have a iDevice, you're pretty much set on the YouTube and Facebook front. I mean, I can use OS 9 on a daily basis and use my iPad for everything else. Because it does YouTube and
Pat
Facebook
delivery.
and yeah, and I mean, I could do all my modern stuff on my iPad and just use OS 9 for everything else.
right.
There's
That's
just
what I
certain,
that's what I always said when I was
or
collecting
they don't want to see
Macs.
your butt.
Said, yeah, I'll use this Mac for this Mac for that, but I don't know about you, but I suck at using multiple Macs. I always end up abandoning one and using one as my primary because you never
Yeah,
sync all your stuff over.
I've been the same way too.
Well, then you also have what they call sheep shaver. So I use that a lot as well when I want to run
Can't figure out
something.
how to get that to work.
Well,
I,
it's a pain because you have to get a Mac ROM, okay, to use it. Then you have to get an operating system for. I mean, once you get it set up, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, once you get it set up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By
a lot
that
of the
time, I'm already
documentation for
throwing
that
stuff through the room.
Yeah, but it's an emulation. It's not, a true hardware experience. So you're going to see some problems with it, and stuff like that. It's not a true, but because if you run it on modern hardware, it runs just as fast, or if even faster than it did on the original hardware, just because the CPU is a lot faster.
oh yeah, you should see OS 8.6 boot up on my Mac Pro. I mean, it's insane. It's like a half a second, and I'm looking at my Finder. It's like, hey,
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Oh yeah,
If I start sweating and I turn red and I'm not sick or anything, but it started pouring rain and I had to close my window. So within the next 10 minutes, it's going to get really, really hot in here.
you got a fan in the background there. You
That
could
doesn't
probably
do anything. It just gives me stiff muscles in my neck. That thing is useless. Oh, Noah is saying, and I know the chat is lagging a little, check out Resilio Sync. That's actually pretty awesome to sync
Oh, cool.
stuff between devices.
Rocky
So I
might want to
shouldn't-
know that then, because he's
So
been trying to kick the Apple habit.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't use iSync?
I think works. Might be a little slow though.
Yeah.
hey.
Yep. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic. I think Jay put a poll up about this. Do you have the results of that poll?
Dude, I forgot all about that poll. Let me check.
We're talking about ergonomics. Does anyone actually try? Okay. What are some of the things you do to create an ergonomic workspace? To be honest with you, my workspace is not ergonomic at all. I just put it any way I can to make it work for me,
All right. So the poll has ended. I only put it for one day. The question was, do you try to have an ergonomic workspace or don't you care at all? We got 127 votes. 60% said it is important to me. So that's 76 votes. And 40% said I could not care less.
and that was me.
I know, dude. I looked at it, and the people that don't care include Rutke, Michael,
Well, look at
Thompson, Nick. Well, yeah, no surprise there. And let's see, anyone else that's currently here in the chat that I can shame? David Whiteman, He doesn't care. He doesn't give a crap. Who else we got?
Why? Whoa! Why are you shaming us? Why does it matter that we don't care about ergonomics?
Exactly.
That's why I want to know from Jay, because now Jay's sitting there trying to shame us, but I want to know
Yes.
why.
I do the shaming first, and then I reason with you.
That's why I want to know. But
Because the easiest thing that everybody has heard before is carpal tunnel, right? Okay.
okay, I use this because I hate using the Apple mouse. Okay, for that
Just use a
particular
puck.
reason.
Right. But you know what carpal tunnel is. Everybody does.
Yes,
Okay.
that's where your hand goes like this. You know, you're like,
Oh, shit. I might lose power in a minute.
oh.
Shut
but-
down your Xers, buddy.
They're already off.
All right.
So that's just one thing. Just to pick on that one, ergonomics for mouse, using a mouse. And what's funny is when I was writing the articles for the puck mouse, the biggest argument was that the puck was very unergonomic. It was horrible. From an ergonomic standpoint, it was the worst mouse ever.
But yet, that's your favorite mouse.
It is. And actually, Apple, from the very first mouse until the current Magic Mighty whatever mouse version 6 that they have, I stopped following that. Apple has never, not once ever, designed an ergonomical mouse. Because if you have an ergonomical mouse, or ergonomic mouse, you have a vertical mouse. That's the
Fancy.
only way to keep your arm in a natural position, what they call the
'cause
handshake position.
Yeah.
So that, Apple has never designed an ergonomical mouse because they never had a vertical mouse.
Well, even the trackballs used to be ergonomic too, because they were kind of like that a little bit.
They were better, but you still had your arm rotating like this.
Yeah, but it wasn't rotating as much.
Right. And, it goes to the keyboard. If you have a keyboard, especially a PC keyboard with one of those ridiculously black bezels on it that's like 5 inches high, not good for you. Your wrist position and all that goes to crap. The position of your chair, the position of your legs, the position of your back, your posture, your neck, the height of your desk, it all plays into that. So I wanted to know, who cares about ergonomics and what do you do about it?
Well,
Well,
I go on,
Steve was the only one that, hopefully has some common sense in him. So let's hear you, Steve.
I try to be as ergonomic as I can without putting too much effort into it. Let me explain that. So,
the lazy ergonomic. Gotcha.
I used to do a lot of graphic arts and animation stuff, which would require me sitting in front of my machine or hunched over on my graphics tablet for very long periods of time. And because of that, I developed some serious pain in my neck and my back because of the weird positions I was in. And so I looked up better ways to, not hurt myself while I was working. And so, some of that has always kept in my mind, to try. It's even just simple things, getting a little foam pad where your keyboard is so your wrists are resting on that, or the same with the mouse pad, just with the little, these are cheap things you could do, and just make sure your chair is, not terrible, and make sure you're in good alignment with your desk and the height and everything. I mean, open any Apple manual from like 1989 and onwards, and you'll see the diagram of the person sitting there with the monitor and like how many inches you should be away from this. And
I was going to bring that
anything.
up. Because Apple, like Steve said, used to do that. Like, here's how you properly set up your desk. Arm's length from the screen, certain height, chair positioning, and all that.
Okay, so I'm
Steve,
ergonomic. I just don't know it.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
sure. Let's
There
go
you
with that. Yeah. And Rutke has a healthy diet. But, no.
But yeah, I mean, I try and take it into consideration, especially if I'm at work and I know I'm going to be sitting in, like, we have not fancy ergonomic chairs at work, and so my back's not hurting or anything. But especially if you're going to be sitting in front of a machine for a while, I try. But I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he's looking up. He's trying to find it
Well,
that shows it in the Apple
No,
manual there.
my
see,
wife is warning me that
Probably
the
wasn't in
basement is flooding, but nothing new there.
my problem is that I stand for 90% of my day, so it's kind of hard to be terribly ergonomic when you have to stand all day. And then when I do get a chance to actually sit in front of a workstation, I'm usually just sitting on a crappy metal stool at a bench in the middle of my garage. I don't actually.
Yeah, but you can.
I can't even remember the last time I actually sat at my desk. I think it was sometime back in 1977.
There you go.
There we
Probably.
go.
Yep, there it is.
Can you guys
But
see that?
but Jay,
Mm-hmm.
if you really think about it,
Yeah.
my computer here at the house is actually fairly ergonomic.
You're
I
just
mean,
saying that based on the.
I have the monitor at dead eye height, sitting on top of the copy of IBM DOS.
All right, let's see.
And
Let's
then
see your keyboard.
I've got the fancy keyboard. It's not
Yeah,
real fancy, but I mean, it's better than some.
that keyboard
It's
is
not.
way too high to be ergonomic because your wrist
Well,
is not like this; it's like this.
yeah, but the problem is my wrists are already screwed up, and that's the only way it's comfortable
So
anymore.
make it worse.
Okay.
But does your entire arm, elbow to wrist, rest on your desk as you're typing? No.
Because my desk isn't big enough. That's the only
So
problem.
your neck and shoulders muscles are supporting the weight of your arms because you can't really rest them on your desk. So that's
Yeah.
technically not.
I didn't say it was perfect.
No. I'm just
I'm
bringing it
just
up because
saying
we're
this
discussing it.
compared
He's trying.
to being at work. I mean, it's better than. I mean, my desk is from like 1940 for crying out loud. So
Yeah, but
computers weren't
even you
exactly
said
as
you're sitting
taught
on a
back
stool.
then.
I tell you.
You're sitting on a stool, but you can still, as you sit on that stool, you can still adjust the height to have your knees at 90 degrees. You can still adjust your posture and not hunch. There's still things you can do.
Not really. It's a bar stool. It has one height, and it's
Yeah,
higher than my
it's
desk.
setup. It's an interesting setup, Mike.
So,
Yeah,
what?
you've
My
seen it.
computer at home or at work?
Well, I don't know. I think
Both
anything's better
places.
than the way what
Oh.
Greg's got set up there. So
Yes,
Yeah,
we can all
Yeah,
agree
well,
on that.
at least I don't have crap sitting everywhere and have to trip over everything just to find my computer. Nonetheless, say, oh, screw it, I can't find my chair. I'm just going to Power Mac G5 tonight,
yeah, I've done
well,
and
actually,
I'm going to make a footstool out of the damn MDD sitting there. Why
you
not?
missed
That's
it,
what I do. I was
Mike.
just about.
He made a throne out of G5s and
And
Mac
Mac Pro.
Pros.
Yeah,
You missed that one he
Christ.
made.
it was very uncomfortable, but it worked.
Yeah,
That
he just
doesn't
wanted to do
sound
some
right.
Game of
I'm
Thrones
so glad that I
stuff with
donate
Mac
my
Pros.
computers to you for you to make a throne out of.
Yeah,
But if you're watching this and you're like, oh yeah, at the end of the day, my arm is like this, and I wonder why, or your neck hurts, and to go back on why Apple removed it. Look up around the time that Apple removed all the ergonomic stuff from their manuals. It's when
1998.
it's when
it was in the G4 Cube manual.
Oh,
yeah,
was it?
Yeah,
but
Probably early
shortly
2000s.
it was shortly before the time they started contemplating iPods and iPhones and all that stuff. And that's why you now have entire generations of people walking around with neck issues because everybody's walking around like this all the time.
that's a good point.
But if you're interested in this, we're going to put some links in the description that I just randomly pulled from Google. Like some of them are like 50 years old, where you still have the classic operator with a microphone. But do a search. Ergonomic desk setup, standing desk, vertical mouse. It's a rabbit hole that you'll fall into, and you'll find tips that work for you. But if you spend a lot of time at a desk, definitely check it out.
Especially get the standing desks. I've been looking at those. To be honest with you, the standing desks.
Yep.
They offer those at my office, and I just have to say I want one, and they'll get me one, and I'm tempted to consider it because you don't realize how much time during the day you sit down.
It's, there's a lot of science and pseudoscience. There's, both sides to each argument. But for me, especially after lunch or dinner, if I stand up, I don't have that dip. I just have energy and I can keep going for hours. So it helps.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to move on to our next topic here. I think we beat this dead horse.
One more thing. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was talking to this about this with Stevie earlier, and he said he couldn't be here tonight, but he'll hang out with us again soon. He said he will be releasing a desk workout. I don't know if it's a video or a series of video or a program, but keep an eye on StevieRichardsFitness.com, and as soon as he announces it, you can see it there. It's specifically for people that spend long hours at their desk, gamers or receptionists or cubicle workers, whatever involves a desk and a computer. He's going to have a series or a few videos on how to do workouts at your desk to, keep you flexible and all that. So keep an eye on that.
All right.
Back to you.
Okay. Next topic is old Macs online. We saw a thread. I can't remember which one. Was it in LEM or was it Mac Pro users? I can't remember which one it was, but a new user came in there and says, that, I don't use any Macs that have EOL, or end of life for the operating system. I refuse to put it online anymore. And
Where's your
I'm
sense of
scratching my
adventure?
head. I'm like, why? And one of the reasons this person came up with, I'm not going to mention the name or anything because you can go look up the thread if you want. But if the reason is that they said because, Mac OS, what was it, 5, she found that said it had 274 bugs or vulnerabilities in it. And I was like, Mac OS 10.14 probably has just as many that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to still use those operating systems, but yet you refuse to use something that you can physically block off by using a decent router on the internet. I mean, Jay even said that, and so did a couple other people. But I think, to be honest with you, I think it's overblown that people think that, using an old operating system online is just dangerous. You're going to invite stuff. Well, yeah, if you go to these dark websites and stuff like that,
Or
you're
if you click install on things you
actually,
don't know,
Yeah.
If you see, I think part of the problem, I think part of it is people are freaked out because of Windows vulnerabilities on end of life operating systems.
Yeah.
And some of those operating systems, the minute you even put them online, they're automatically downloading crap. Now, I can tell you for a fact, using Macs online since 1995, that I have never had issues putting any Macintosh online for any reason. There might be a vulnerability there, but truthfully, if you really get down to the nitty gritty, who in the hell wants to exploit an operating system that less than 1/1000% of the population is going to have online?
Exactly.
That's no longer a valid argument because it's all automated now. You have services like Shodan
but if you
scanning the
think about
internet.
who in the hell is going to write a virus for OS 9 for Christ's sake?
Or
Some
6.0.8.
9-year-old that's experimenting with scripts and all that stuff. There's always someone.
Well, good for them. If they want to do that and they want to write it for OS 9, I'll put my damn computer online, let them torch it. That's why I have these things that are called backups.
Yeah, and you have a firewall.
Yeah. I have a everyone has a firewall. If you
I
have
actually
a router,
don't have a firewall.
Yeah, you do. If you have a router, you have a firewall.
I have a router, but I mean, I don't have
then you have a firewall because
I don't
you
have a
can't
physical
see.
firewall. But
But you can't physically see the IP because, to be honest with you, all my IP addresses start with 192.168. Okay, that's the standard, IP address on an internal network. You can't see that from the outside the network. So if you want to see my computer, unless I put an IP number on there that will are basically just ignore the firewall, the router itself, and just route it directly, which is what DMZ I think is what they call it.
Yeah.
Then basically that you're opening up your computer. If you have DMZ turned off, then you're stupid. But if you have a basic router with the basic settings on it, you're pretty much going to be safe. I mean,
Yeah.
and there's other things you could do, like little snitch, like Jay said. You could put that on there. You could find out what's calling home or what's not, and you could stop it, or use a
Yeah,
VPN.
I think it's all about just using common sense. Obviously, if you're trying to load up your banking information and you're on an old machine that's maybe not as secure as it should be, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. But
Yeah.
Well, most of them probably wouldn't even load anyway without the
well,
proper
well,
SSL.
that's the other thing. There are measures on websites like banking websites that will check certificates and protocols that if your system is so outdated, it won't even load anything. It refuses to
Right.
do anything. But
Exactly.
if you're just going online, going on Facebook, checking your email, yeah, you could do it on these old systems without too much worry because, like you guys said, you have a decent firewall set up. You're probably going to be okay, especially if you're running an old Mac. Windows is a whole other subject, but I have Snow Leopard online, I have Leopard online, I have Tiger online, I have OS 9 online. I have systems that are online, and hey, when I'm not using them, I turn them off. So I think I'm pretty secure here.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm running a server with Mac OS 10.1 and I'm broadcasting the IP and all its ports to the world. Just use some common sense, you'll be fine.
I know a few people that do that.
But I'm kind of with Jay on that. I think that probably 10, 10, 12, 13, and 14 are probably more open to attack than the older
Yeah.
stuff is.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
here's the
You
thing.
close one hole, you open two. Yeah.
Well, the thing is people are actively trying to exploit the last couple of maybe I'd say 3 or 4 Mac OS versions
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because those are the ones that people are going to be using. They're not going to write. They're not going to sit here and try to exploit a hole in OS 7.6 because there might be 5 computers in the world online that are using it.
And I have
Online,
two of
yeah.
them in my basement.
Whereas they're going to look for an exploit in OS 10.14 because there's probably forty
Millions of,
percent.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be millions of machines that are running it. Hell, even 10.11, which is probably the oldest operating system I would even consider using on a regular basis.
I use 1011 on my
For
Mac Pro.
Well, that's what I have.
Yeah.
I use it every day I have it on multiple computers. I mean,
I
I
have it
love it.
online, stays online. I don't
Yeah,
have a
so does
problem with it.
mine. But yeah, I don't either. But I'm saying that people are going to be more willing to look for exploits in that versus any classic operating system. And
Well,
this is assuming anybody could even bother to look for exploits in something that old. I mean, gosh, you're talking almost 20 years now since OS 9 was out.
okay, here's some
So
question or here's some comments we got in the chat here. We got a lot of them on this topic, so this actually came out to be a pretty good topic here. Um, I guess Corey, admin at 68 KMLA, likes to lecture people about security vulnerabilities in older Mac OS. I'm not in that group, so I don't know who that is or.
I
Yeah, I
think that's
mean,
the Hackintosh group.
Oh, is it?
no, I mean it's the 68K forum. I mean, look, there are vulnerabilities, and you can lecture them about it. But like in reality, as long as you have a firewall and you're playing it safe, sure, there's going to be some vulnerabilities that the latest version of macOS doesn't have. But as
Right.
long as you play it smart, you're not going to like have your machine hacked and taken over.
Yeah.
There's some
Well, there was a
pretty,
follow up to what he said, but
Yeah.
fails
oh,
to
sorry,
realize that a good router/firewall
yeah,
will protect you better
I should
than
read
any
more.
amount of security updates.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
Yeah.
Noah says, his Mac OS server gets probably about 10 attempted HTTP attacks per day.
Yeah.
Get requests mostly.
Which is
So
probably all automated.
yeah, it's
yeah.
probably all automated.
It's just somebody. It's searching for open IP addresses. That's really all
Oh
those are.
yeah,
They're not.
I
I wouldn't
have
say much say they're attacks, but snoops.
Probes is more like it.
Yeah, probes.
this
That's
is.
exactly it.
And
I'll give you
then
a perfect example. So I have Snow Leopard set up on this machine when it first came out. This iMac here. I enabled VNC and I forwarded the port so I can remote connect my desktop. I had someone log in to the guest account because there was no password, and they were surfing the web on my Mac remotely. So that's stupid me because I opened the port for it. But you just got to be careful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then Brock says, his local hospital uses Windows 7 to run patient software. But Brock, you got to realize though, Windows 7 is
Windows
still being
7 still
supported.
active.
It's still being supported until I think it's coming up to end of life
May of
pretty
next
soon.
January
year.
20th.
What is
And
it?
I'm sure,
16th or 20th of January, I think.
Yeah,
yeah, and
but
I'm sure
I
they
have a bigger
invested
problem
heavily.
with pediatricians or wherever I show up storing all my or my kids' information on Google Docs. Like, excuse me, what?
Yeah.
I have more of an issue with that than when they run XP. I don't care.
yeah, exactly. I'd rather not give any information to Google, but at all. You're just asking for your information to be stolen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You might as
by
well just
Google.
give it to them outright. Say here,
Then they're
it's
going to
going to be.
use it to then they're going to start using it to market medication at you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's exactly what it's going to be. You're going to start getting little emails saying, "Hey, you can get
yeah.
this medication." Like, wait a second, how do
Are
you
you
know that?
interested in the Coxconn tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Windows is another whole story because I would say probably 70% is Windows users out there, and then the other probably 30% is other operating systems. And I'm talking about Mac, Linux,
I think
Unix, all
Mac has
that.
finally gotten up to like 10%.
Yeah,
I
but
don't even think it's
Yeah.
that high.
I'm guessing off the top of my head. I would say about 70% is Windows. So that's where you're gonna find a lot of the hack attempts and people trying to get into your system is if you're running a Windows system because it is got the most installed user base out there, and
But
because a lot of businesses use Windows exclusively because for one, it runs on cheaper hardware, so businesses like to skimp out on hardware, and they can buy the licenses real cheap as well. So
how big is the market share for the iPhone and iPad?
big, but
Okay,
it's also a
that's what they
closed.
go after.
But you got to remember though, the iPhone, iPad, iOS is a closed walled garden
Bullshit. Bullshit. That wall
versus
is so full of holes. Every time
it's
they have these hacking conferences, Mac and iOS are the first to fall with Safari exploits, WebKit exploits, weird system hooks, and all
Oh,
that stuff. And whatever applies to iOS these days applies to Mac OS. That's why
true
if you
because they're
go over the
mixed, they're
security
merging the
notes,
both. Yeah,
yeah. If something is
That's why
patched
I
in
stick with OS
iOS, it's
9 and
patched
I'm
in
fine.
macOS and the other way around. So by going after the largest phone base, I think Apple is the majority of smartphones.
no, actually, it's not technically. Believe it or not,
But
Android actually has.
bleh,
Yeah, I hate to say it, but Android does still have Apple beat only because there are so many phones and cheap phones out there that run Android. And Android is actually, yeah, you got it's a big share. It's probably about a 40% share, but the other 60% is Android based, probably. I agree with you. I agree with you on that 100%. I don't want them to merge it. I want Mac OS and iOS to be separate. They should share features as far as like for instance, group FaceTime we're using right here. I'm actually using it on my Mac and I'm actually
Just
using it on
a
my
heads
iPad at
up,
the same
Greg. You
time.
got exclamation points on YouTube.
Oh, do I?
Yep.
All right. Let me disconnect and I'll reconnect real quick. You're going to see pictures of my dogs, so hold on 1 second. Test, test. Okay, there we go. Now we have audio. Let me go back and turn off the Jeopardy music. All right, can you guys hear us now?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Now we got to wait 20 seconds before we get a yes or no.
Big white
18,
cat.
17, 16,
It must be a yes.
14, 13, 12.
No, this is a FaceTime issue. I don't know why FaceTime does the exclamation
I
point
still
thing.
don't have Greg on my end.
Five.
Greg Rudke.
But he's on here. He's on mine. Don't worry about your end.
One.
I don't see you.
Well,
Yeah, I
if he
hear it.
talks, I
hear
need to
it.
reply.
That's okay. I don't get Steve. I don't have Steve either. There he is.
Well, then you guys need to disconnect and reconnect because I have everybody.
All right,
Yeah, we
the
have
sound
sound.
works, guys. We're good.
We have sound.
Okay.
So anyway,
All right.
I'm looking up the market share before we continue. Samsung's got 31% of the market, and Apple's at 22%.
No. That's the Samsung. What other Android makers out there have parts of the market?
Huawei,
Down the rabbit hole we
Xiaomi,
go.
Oppo.
Yeah.
So it'd be 31 plus 9 plus.
Oh,
8
we're going to get to
plus
see
4.
Greg do math.
I'm not doing that kind of math.
He's college educated.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude.
I barely passed math in college.
That means he doesn't really have an education.
But he still can't make change.
All right, guys. So that's our little glitch for the night there. FaceTime decided it wanted to block out and put exclamation points on a couple of guys. And we figured out early on that in order to fix that, you have to actually drop out and come back in. And when I came back in, for some reason, the audio decided to switch over to a different audio channel on here, and I had to figure that one out too. So now we're back. So we're good to go.
Back.
Yay.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and go to our newest edition here. Is your wife going to do this, or are we going to do this?
No, she's busy.
Oh, okay. So I guess we're going to
do we have time to do this tonight? Or
Yeah, we got
skip
time.
over it.
No, we got time.
All right.
We only got 25 minutes left, so.
All right.
All right.
Drum roll.
All right, I will go ahead and start. I'll go ahead and be the MC for this tonight then.
Oh,
all right.
sweet.
I just don't look as good as Jay's wife. So
I was getting my Game Boys ready, but how about it?
all right. So, all right.
And I'll be pasting the stuff in the chat.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of in random order here. So we're going to go ahead and go for the first one here. All right, this guy got an ADB Apple mouse signed by Steve Wozniak at an Engadget filming in 2011. So, guys, guess who did that? That's one of us 5 that are here.
Oh, it's so cool.
Where's the music?
Yeah, where's the music, dude?
It's there. Remember, it's 20-second delay.
Oh, I'm not listening to that one.
So cool. Oh, yeah, it is playing.
So, guys, we're waiting for some answers here. Go ahead, type your answer. Who you think, which one of us that fact belongs to?
Come on, we've got 14 people watching. Someone type something.
How do you already have the music? He's still asking the question on my end.
Beats me.
My delay is like a full minute.
Yeah, your internet is sucking over there, man.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Maybe that's why you went to exclamation point.
I'm even on Wi-Fi, Jay.
All right, we got the first person. Lando's hair says Jay. Come on, guys. We need some guesses in here. Give it another 15 seconds before we give the answer out.
1 vote for me.
Yeah, 1 vote for Jay.
1 vote for me as well.
1 vote for Steve. Come on. We got 14 guys in here. I know 5 of us are watching here, so 13. That's at least.
Simon says Steve.
I love that
All right.
image of me right now, Mike.
So we got 2 guesses so far. Only one Jay and one Steve.
People don't know who
I don't
we
know
are.
which one of you is which.
I'm Steve. The guy with the cat is Mike.
Yeah, I'm Greg.
Jay has the hat
T.
on. Oh wait,
I'm Greg
also has
T.
the hat on.
I'm
And-
Greg H.
And Jay is the one that's with the fan.
And the cat's Simon.
All right, guys. The answer is, and I'm going to let the person say who it is.
Me, it's Steve.
So, Steve, you do have an Apple mouse signed by Steve Wozniak, huh?
Oh, and I let me tell you how this happened just real quick because it was a funny story. So, Engadget around 2011 was filming something in New York, and it was like they had a whole stage set up, and it was right around it was 2011. So it was the winter, and so it was really cold. So me and my girlfriend at the time went there, and I somehow convinced her to go, and you had to wait on the line just to get tickets. And I was online, and it was so full that people were leaving because they ran out of room. As people were leaving, they opened up another part of the theater where you could watch on a TV screen instead of being in the actual thing. So we actually made it in, and we were there and everything. Afterwards, actually during the show, the guy on the side of the stage did one of these motions, which I guess the guy on the stage interpreted it as wrap it up. But what he actually meant was keep going. This is great. So unfortunately, they stopped the show a little early. Fortunately for us, that meant that Steve Wozniak was hanging around and answering questions for a while. And they set him up a desk with a Sharpie. And people had like an Apple II with them. They had a Mac Classic with them. I just happened to have an ADB mouse in my car. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna bring it with me just in case he's signing stuff.
So
And
where is it?
Yeah, let's see it.
It's
Let's.
it's actually I'll bring it out in a sec.
All right.
It's on the shelf somewhere.
I was going to
But
say.
he signed it, and I learned a little anecdote of him and his friends, which were also named Steve, and I'm a Steve, so that was fun.
Yeah.
So that was a cool experience. He's a real nice guy.
All right. Next fact. All right. This guy has a prototype iMac G5. So who has the prototype iMac G5?
Guys couldn't come up with anything more original.
Well, you weren't freaking here to fill it out, were you?
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What do you mean? What am I doing?
Where are you? Oh,
I
there
went,
you
in
are.
I went in the kitchen. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, you weren't showing up.
All right. So we got one guess for Jay.
For a good reason. For a good reason. I do like the logic there.
One guy says Steve. One says me. I read that
is
one
a
on
very
House
good
of
reason.
Moth. Lando
I
says
agree,
Mike.
That is a good idea. That is a good reason.
Yeah, it's a valid point.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do like those kind of things. Another person says me. All right, 10 more seconds, and we'll give the answer out here. No more guesses. All right, time is up. And who is the one here that has a prototype iMac G5?
Oh, that one's actually mine.
Yeah,
It's
you guys
sitting
should
on
have got that
It's
when Jay
sitting on my
said-
kitchen table.
Jay gave the answer out. That's why I was like, "What are you doing, Jay?"
What?
You gave the answer out.
No, actually, that was
The
me.
stream is 20 seconds behind.
And people still didn't guess it. The only one guessed it was Lando.
We're new at this, all right?
Yeah, you guys have to go check his channel out. He actually has a video of opening up that prototype iMac G5. So go check his channel out.
And I'm going to be opening it again for you.
Ooh.
Why?
Just 'cause
Why?
you can.
Well, yeah, there.
Just put an SSD in it. Ooh.
Fancy.
Nice.
Fancy.
I have officially eliminated every single Windows computer from my life.
Yay!
with the exception of
Oh,
the
come
ones
on.
that I absolutely must use at work because of the state.
Oh, okay.
Okay, work is different. Work is different.
Yeah.
But at
But
your house, no more.
I officially, I just gave my 8-core AMD computer to my youngest nephew for
That's
his
cruel.
16th birthday.
That's
And I
fair.
took all the hard drives out. I told my brother, "Look, I'll give you the damn computer. There's $1,000 right there. You go buy a hard drive."
Yeah. All right, let's
So
get
I
up to
have
our
a spare SSD.
All right, we're going to get to our next fact here. All right, next one. This was kind of dumb, but I'll say it anyways. This guy is double jointed. So, which one of us is double jointed?
How is that dumb? I mean, we're all supposed to come up for a fact about each other.
Oh, I know.
It doesn't have to be computer related. What the heck's on my hand?
I don't know. You got spiders there still, so that might be it. All right, someone says me. Lando said Grudy. Brock says Mike. Come on, guys. We need some more guesses.
Shit, I'm
Give it
barely
up.
single jointed.
Another 10 seconds, and we're gonna give the answer out.
I can
will
barely
not
move
type
in one
the
way,
answer.
nonetheless multiple.
So I have your okay. Actually, you're the damn MC. You type the answer.
No, you guys are fine
I
typing
quit.
the answer. No. All right, guys. 5 more seconds, and we're gonna give the answer out. This guy is double jointed. Which one of us is double jointed? All right, time's up. And who is the one that's double jointed?
That would be me.
Of course it was you. You had
Oh,
a bad
dude.
reaction to it.
Oh.
Ah, boy.
Damn.
You need
That
help.
just made my arm hurt.
I can do that with
Made my
both
head
arms,
hurt.
too.
I don't think I could do that. I go up to here.
I
and
can
then
barely
get
move
pain.
my arm. That's as much as because I injured this arm while I was in the Army. So I
Yeah.
can't move at full range of motion anymore. So Greg is the double jointed freak.
Freak. Yeah.
It gives him extra strength when moving around those mats.
So can you do that with your leg too?
Since I'm double jointed in my shoulder, if I lift certain things that are too heavy at the right angle, I'll dislocate both shoulders and just drop whatever I'm holding.
I'm sorry. I want to see that. I want to
That's
see
a feature.
it just dangle.
That's a feature.
No. You don't want to see that.
Oh my god.
Okay, here's the next fact here, or that you're going to match to one of us. This guy ran a BBS on dial-up. So
That's
who ran the
boring.
BBS system on dial-up? You guys remember the back in the days, right?
No.
Yeah, we remember the BBSs are still around, but it still sounds boring.
Oh, where's your sense of
I'm
adventure?
kidding.
All right, one vote for Mike.
Mike. Everybody's
guys,
going to
we need some
assume that
guesses
it's
here.
one of
Another
the old
vote
dudes.
for Mike. Another vote for Mike. 15 more seconds, and we'll give out the answer here. Related to you guys, remember Hotline? Hotline.
Yes.
I still have the hotline client on my iMac.
All right, come on.
It's useless now, but I still have it.
The
Use it
big
every
red H. All right, another 5 seconds, and we're going to go ahead and give the answer out. All right, time's up. And the answer would be me. I actually ran a bulletin board service back in the day on an old Intel 286 computer.
Wow.
Yeah, 286 on a
Leading edge.
2400 baud dial-up.
Hey, Greg,
Yeah,
you're not the only one.
yeah. Oh, you used to too?
I used to run a single node BBS running Mystic on a Tandy 1000 or a Tandy 4386 machine.
Okay, so the ones that guessed Mike are right too. Then I guess.
Actually, I
Trick
still
question.
have my BBS. It's on a hard drive in a IBM Net Vista. I used to run it over Telnet. I haven't
man,
had it up
that's
for a
cool.
while, but
Were you on
I'm thinking
FidoNet?
yes. You're talking decades ago, though.
Yeah. If you guys
Put that
don't know
on
what
the Raspberry
FidoNet
Pi
is,
and let it run.
FidoNet was basically around before email and the internet. It was the
before I
original.
existed.
It was the original email that took about a couple of days to get mail from one side of the country to the other, because basically it just shuffled from one computer to another over dial-up, and that's how it worked.
It was basically the '90s version of cloud computing.
Yep, pretty much.
There is no cloud; it's just somebody else's computer.
And the graphics were ANSI based, so you didn't get the high resolution graphics you got nowadays on the web and everything like that. So we're going to do two more. We got a bunch more in here, but we're only going to do two more, and then we're going to go on to our next topic here. All right, so the next one. This guy uses a vertical mouse. So who has used a vertical or uses a vertical mouse? PC Junior or Mac SE? BBSs were the bomb back in the day. That's how you talked to people, and you had you played games and stuff on them.
Got one vote for me.
I don't even see that one yet. There
my
it is.
life used a revolver.
2 votes for Jay.
Ooh, 3 votes.
3 votes for Jay.
Popular guy today.
Yeah, you're popular, Jay. Oh,
That's true.
yeah. I was going to say, you guys need to be paying attention there. So I think we got
our audience pays attention.
They pay attention. All right, so we'll go ahead and let who it is say who it is. Go ahead.
Me.
Yep.
I'm all about that ergonomic stuff.
Yep. You guys actually pay attention. I'm actually very pleased about that. You guys were listening to us and not just have us in the background. All right, one more question here. Let's see. Which one do I want to pick here? All right. This guy created a fake Apple product in Photoshop that wound up on CNN Money's website in 2008.
Well, we're talking about a special kind of nerd on this one. Let's see what that might be.
So who created a fake Apple product in Photoshop that wound up on CNN Money's? And that's who did that?
I wonder.
I wonder too. Come on, guys, get some guesses in there. This is the last one for this week's
Simon, that's
Match the Facts. Huh?
Simon.
GH Noah said GH. So Grudy, you got one vote.
Mike, you're either a very tiny dude or your cat is humongous.
Steve has got a vote.
Jay, this cat is 35 some odd pounds.
That's a humongous cat.
Yeah.
I didn't make him that way.
He showed up that way. He's fat, white, and deaf.
And very sweet.
All right, another vote for GH. So GH got 2 of them, 2 votes to 1. Couple more, come on, about 10 seconds, guys, and then we're going to give out the answer.
Oh, in 2008, Greg was what? In like 6?
It was high school.
All right, guys, that's it. We're going to go ahead and let the person who fits that fact answer.
That's me.
I want to see that, Steve.
I want to hear about
that
this
too.
one.
I just found it. I'm going to put it in iMessage right now. So this was back.
The link on the chat.
I didn't upload it anywhere yet. So maybe Greg, if you could just
I'm going
copy
to try
the
to
image and
bring
put
it
it on
over.
screen. So this was June 8th, 2008. I found the email. And if you remember that WWDC, they had an image that was the Golden Gate Bridge split in 2. And, that was the teaser image for their Apple event. And so I came up with a tagline in my head, which was Bridge the Gap.
Oh, my God, I remember that.
You do?
I do.
So I
All right, it's on the screen now.
I made a 3D model of a Mac Mini futuristic. This is 2008. This is before the Mac Mini actually looked like that. So I made a futuristic version of the Mac Mini in a 3D modeling program. And then I made a fake Apple web page and pretended that this product was sort of like a cheapo Mac that lets you build apps on it or something stupid. What gave it away was I capitalized apps by mistake, and apparently that threw people off. But the design of the page, I very closely followed Apple's page, and I took a blurry screenshot with my phone, which was the style at the time. And a few of my friends submitted it to Mac news sites, and it was on CNN Money's website. And I have a screenshot of it somewhere. I couldn't find that just now. Seems like they took it off, or it's hard to find.
Probably because they got caught for fake news then, right?
Well,
Yeah.
they updated the article the day after, and they said the Mac Fusion didn't come out or whatever. But yeah, it's like slate gray. So I saw the future there, and I think I made a Photoshop one after that somewhere. I still have the
Maybe
Photoshop template
Johnny
somewhere.
I've copied you.
Yeah,
There you
so
go.
he owes me.
You should sue him for copyright infringement.
Yeah, so that was some fun I had. I had a lot of fun doing that.
Nice.
So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. All right, guys. So that concludes our Match the Facts tonight. We had a few more, but we're starting to get short on time here. We're getting real close to time. We still got a couple more things to go through here.
I would say we skip the mic next.
Yep, I'm thinking the same thing. Or do you want to go news and rumors next? Because that's what's up here next.
Yeah.
You can
I
do
say
that.
let's go with Mike before he
All
gets
right.
trampled to death by that monster.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Mike.
I need to extricate the fat cat. Say bye.
All right, Mike, you're up.
Oh, all right. So anyway, I don't know if any of you guys watch my videos. I assume no,
I
judging
did.
by the very ridiculously low view counts that I get. So I picked up this thing, this
Nice.
gray hunk of junk, for $25, and I picked it up because it actually worked, which is
Wow.
a miracle. So this week we have ourselves a PowerBook 165, which is the last 68030 base laptop.
What a
And it
beauty.
actually came in two flavors. It came into 165 and all new, never seen before, the 165C, which was
Ooh.
which was actually Apple's first color laptop. Um, this is the cheap version for the people who didn't want to spend any money. It's actually very fast. It's a 6830 33, which was actually, besides the 40 they used in 2FX, was the fastest one they made. But it has no Math-Cope processor. They came with 4 megs of RAM, 120 meg hard drive, and this one actually has 160 meg SCSI hard drive, which is yep, there you go. He's showing you a picture of the color screen. The color screens on these were absolutely amazing.
Oh, actually, he can't see it on the screen because I have you full blown.
Oh, well, Steve was
Don't
showing a
worry
picture,
about it.
and the color screens that they used on these were actually Sony units. They were amazing. They were so beautiful. But this thing is like 16 inches thick, weighs about 325 pounds, and that's without the battery. The batteries are good for about 2 hours, but unlike computers nowadays, they actually put ports on these, which is one of the reasons they're so thick. Because you actually got a SCSI port, you got a video port, you got 2 serial ports, and an ADB port. And if you really were a big spender, you could have gotten a modem. I think it goes right here,
Huh.
a whole 2400 baud modem.
Whoa!
So, and actually, this was a pretty cheap machine at around $2,000 too.
Hmm.
So, if
I
you
wouldn't
manage
call
to
that
find,
cheap, but
well, in 1993, it was pretty damn cheap for a laptop. Um, if you compare the prices of what PC laptops were going for, some of those were going for upwards of $5,000 to $6,000.
Oh
So,
boy.
And I mean, yeah, this is obviously the technology in this thing is a couple years behind, but that was the norm back then. People expected laptops to be slower and uh, not nearly as good as their desktop companions, unlike today, where most people are replacing their desktops with laptops. But so I plan on showing this one here in another video here, not too long from now. I actually did dismantle it the other day, and one of the reasons the machine is so thick is because it's actually a double stacked board inside. There's a main logic board, and then there's a sub board on top, which is one of the reasons that these are so thick, because the keyboard and the trackball aren't big at all. So, but that's going to be an upcoming subject here soon. But if you find any of these and they're working, buy them, because they're going for dirt cheap, and I think they're going to be collectible here in the next 10 years or so.
What OS can you run on those?
This particular model, and all the gray laptops like these were all 68Ks, so they can run 7.761 because of the 030 processor. So, which that's one of the projects I'm working on with this one. I have to find my USB floppy drive so I can make some 7.761 floppies. But that's one of the things I plan on doing with this machine, is upgrading to 761. And then I'm going to try to network it like an idiot.
Just make sure you have it behind your router.
Yeah, I should still have an Asante Talk, a serial to, serial to
Ethernet.
Ethernet. Thank you, Steve. I'm tired. Serial to Ethernet adapter to use it online. So we'll see what happens.
Londo's is asking if it needs to be recapped.
No, it does not. I had it open, and there's zero evidence of any problem with capacitors inside. There was no leakage or any type of marks on the motherboard. It had some various issues inside from some eighth that tore apart before. It just kind of basically slapped everything back together with a hammer. But yeah, actually, surprisingly, the computers, I think, don't have the problems. I think it's mostly the power bricks that have the problems with the cats. So, but I could be wrong.
Cool.
But
if you guys,
Jay,
go ahead.
I was going to say, Jay has one of mine at his house too that actually doesn't work. So that'll be a test to find out how things are between one that works and one that doesn't work, to try to troubleshoot it. So
yeah. If anyone wants to see the video, I put a link in the live chat, and we'll add it to the description as well.
Yep. All right, guys. Good to get some good info there, Mike. Our last section of the day, before we're going to call it a night, is Steve's Archive Adventures. So it's on you, Steve.
Okay, well, kind of related to mine, just basically a plug for my video, so sorry. But it's essentially, I had picked up a Performa 430 in, I think it was November of 2018. And it was with the box and all the accessories and all this fun stuff. So I did a video. I'm pasting the link in the chat right now. And it was complete. It had the monitor, had all the accessories, and that's really what I was into. I had a lot of LC and LC3s, so when the seller took the lid off and showed me a photo of the board, and I saw the battery had exploded and leaked on the poor thing, I wasn't too disheartened, because I thought, you know what? It's still pretty cool to have the box and the monitor and everything else. And so I got it anyway. I paid $30 for the thing, so it wasn't a big investment at all. He originally wanted, I think, 50 or 60. So yeah, he was very nice to. Well, his aunt used the computer and they still had it, and he just wanted to get rid of it. It took up a lot of space, and so I did a video about that. I compare it to the other machines that were out there at the time, and watch the video, and you'll see if the Performa was a good machine for your first-time computer owning experience, and what the Performa is actually capable of, and the expandability and the processor and the pros and cons of the machine. They're pretty interesting machines, and it's actually a pretty interesting thing in Apple's history of that whole Performa line. So The video's out there now. Probably some of you have already seen it because I posted it
Can we
everywhere.
discuss the video, or would that be a spoiler?
I
Well,
watched it
here,
today. It's actually a pretty good video.
Oh,
Huh?
thank you. Yeah, you could discuss the video. Anybody who doesn't want to hear that, you can cover your ears, I guess. But
Yes. Mute your stream now.
spoiler
All right. So
alert.
I want to know why that monitor didn't have an Apple logo, because that was weird.
Yeah, so I think the reason the monitor didn't have an Apple logo is you're supposed to put it on top of the LC, and it's supposed to, like, that Performer or the LC, and it's supposed to line up so there's one Apple logo already on the LC, on the desktop itself. However, that doesn't really jive well with me because the monitor is not like the LC style monitors that's
Right.
perfectly aligned and everything. It's
Yeah.
pretty clunky. So I don't know why there's no Apple logo on it. The only thing I could think of is that Apple maybe maybe they got these molds from somewhere else, or maybe I don't know. Like, it's not an Apple design really. It's just like a standard monitor.
Do you really want to know the answer?
It's
Uh-oh.
probably
Here we
just a
go.
rebrand.
It's exactly what it is. It was actually if I remember correctly, I think they were a Mitsubishi
Yep.
monitor.
Yeah.
They were actually they were an outside buy because they didn't have enough of the monitor that was necessary for the original performance of 400s. Apple had to do like an emergency buy, and basically they just slapped they bought them from either Mitsubishi or Sony. I'm not sure which. I think it was Mitsubishi, and just slapped a sticker on the back.
That
Hey,
makes
I should have
sense.
interviewed you for my video.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I've never seen one. I had a friend of mine who used to do work for Apple. Used to have an Apple shop, and he was telling me stories about that
Oh,
because
wow. That's cool.
that you're not the first person to comment about why doesn't my Apple monitor have an Apple logo on it like all my other Apple monitors do.
Yeah.
So, and like I've never seen one up close in person. I have heard stories about it, and supposedly that was they underestimated how well the Performa was going to sell.
Hmm.
Um, and
Yeah, because
they didn't
that
have
was
it. That was the Performa was. I'll tell you what, it's a shame that Apple does not still. I mean, they do still technically, but it's a shame that Apple still doesn't offer something like that nowadays.
yeah. I mean,
Because
the
it was a
iMac
good.
essentially replaced it, but
Yeah, but even that's not a good value. I don't think.
well, I
I
mean,
mean,
with the idea of you got the software, you got the
yeah, you
monitor
get
built in,
everything
you
with
got the
it.
modem built in. It's essentially like that's sort of the argument I made. But what is interesting is there's two monitors. There's the Performa Display and the Performa Display Plus, and the only difference is they're both 640 by 480. The only difference is the dot pitch is slightly better on one versus the other. So if you bought a
Hmm.
Performa 450, you got a slightly better screen. The
Yeah,
screen's not bad. I mean, it's 640 by 480. What are you going to complain about? But it's
yeah.
it's nothing to write home about. But hey, back in the day, if you were going to spend hundreds of dollars on this monitor, Apple included one in the bundle, so it wasn't a bad bundle back in the day. I
I just
guess
got a text. It says, did Mike not get the memo that it's blue shirt night? And I just realized we're all wearing blue shirts. I didn't even notice.
I'm wearing
we're
black.
all IBM fans apparently. I
This
don't
is
know.
kind of a blue-green. It's not really blue.
Dude, it's blue.
So Mike, if you didn't watch the video,
I did.
go ahead and okay, yeah. So you'll see the back of the monitor. It just has that
Yeah,
sticker on it.
I was going to comment on it, and then I totally forgot about it for some reason. I was going to make a comment in your video, and I got
Well,
distracted for some
I
reason.
think it's just fitting that machine came out 26 years ago this month, and I finally got around to releasing the video this month. So,
Yeah.
so
All
good
right,
timing.
guys. It's about that time. Man, we actually went 5 minutes over our 2-hour
And we
time limit
skipped
set first.
we
And we
skipped
skipped.
two sections.
But we
Yeah.
did have technical difficulties. So
Yeah,
Well,
Rocky,
but it wasn't
Rocky
that
couldn't
long.
be here tonight. He had to
Yeah.
work, so no gaming section tonight. And by the time we cover the news and rumors, it'll be 11 o'clock, so we're skipping that too.
Yep. So,
And, and no, what were they smoking? We couldn't find a good candidate.
yeah, there was really no good candidates this week. I mean, in fact, if you guys come up with something that you think is outrageous or ridiculous, something ridiculously priced or something just plain, or if somebody says something that's just totally off the wall, let us know. We'll put that in
Yeah,
the.
post it on Discord.
We'll give you credit and say, hey, this is who gave us the what were they smoking,
Yeah, we
nominee.
enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
It
We
helps keep
love.
our participation going.
Oh,
Yeah, the whole
exactly.
plan is that eventually the audience does all the work for us, and we could just go away
Talk.
for a week. We
Yeah.
didn't even have to be here. Just open up a chat room. People do MacYac themselves. That's the plan.
Exactly. Speaking of that, if you go to our Discord channel, you can actually talk to us. You can chat, do all kind of stuff on there. We actually have
For
a pretty good
free.
Discord for free.
Yep.
Exactly.
For now,
For now,
according to Ryan.
until we start a Patreon for it, then we'll have to
Yeah.
put tiers on there, and have rooms where you
A
can't get in.
$100 a month tier can type 5 words a week.
Yeah, there you go. So, guys, make sure you like and subscribe to this video. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell icon next to it. Make sure you come and join us on Discord. And we'll have, after the film or the video finishes process everything, I'll post all the descriptions and info and everything in the links. So hopefully we'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
So you guys have a good night.
Thanks for joining.
Good
Thanks
night.
for paying attention, and see you next week.
Yep. See ya.
Yeah.
Have a good one.